Greetings, everyone. This is Zyron. I'm going to be going over ISC for this week and probably covering Inside Star Citizen and my thoughts on it sometime tomorrow on my Twitch channel. So here we go.
Hey everyone, it's Alien Week, that yearly celebration of all things Vandal, Tavaran, Xion, and Banu.
Don't forget to sacred Thack. Don't forget to sacred Thack. Don't forget to sacred Thack.
And to celebrate here on ISC, we thought we'd check in with members of the ship team currently working on the latest Xion fighter, the Santok Yai. Santok Yai. It's pronounced just like it's spelled. But because we just got off 2 weeks of ship segments with Invictus just a few weeks ago, I figured we'd do things a little different this week and call Vehicle Art Director Elwin Batchelor Jr. and Lead Designer Stephen Hosmer directly in a special Calling All Devs edition of Inside Star Citizen. Because that's just how I roll sometimes. Now, I understand we already have them on the line? Yes? Great. So, Elwin, Hosmer, why don't you give us an update on where we're currently at with the Santok Yai?
Real talk, we just failed our gray box review. that's real talk for you.
So where we're at with the Santok Yai right now is we just went through our review gate for gray box, which we failed. And it's not catastrophic. The main reason for that is because we haven't quite figured out how we're going to be doing and designing the cockpit dashboard yet. All of the exterior has been basically gray box modeled out. We have the majority of the animations finished. I'm actually currently repolishing the landing animation and in-flight animation and a couple of other really cool things that we haven't shown before. But yeah, the bulk of the geometry has been modeled out, and we're about to get ready to start doing material work and palms and all that good stuff to make it look beautiful. But unfortunately, we can't quite move on to that stage yet until we really nail down what it is that we're going to be doing with the dashboard.
I mean, that's part of the process. We want to make sure that everything is dotted and crossed. What's the expression? I don't know.
You mean cross your eyes and dot your T's.
Cross your T's or dot your I's. There you go. We want to cross our T's and dot our I's.
I need to run this back a bit. Tell us that failing gray box is a semi-normal thing.
It isn't the most common thing that happens. I would say it happens less than 50% of the time. I don't have exact metrics for that, but in this case, it's just, there's a lot going on right now.
Can I just say I would be perfectly okay with a paint scheme like this on the Santok Yai. It looks good.
Right now that we're working on in the background, and we weren't able to get the level of support that we were hoping to get in order to really iron out the plans for this specific asset.
Really
but it happens from time to time. We know exactly why it failed.
Really nice
everything else on the ship works. This is just one very specific issue that we have to deal with.
Oh, we fail them all the time. Basically, there's something that's always just, needs to get fixed or pointed out, and what we do usually is we'll, afterwards, we'll post videos, post screenshots, and be like, hey, here's this thing that was wrong, we fixed it, can we pass now? Do we have to have another meeting? We might have to have it run through it again, but usually it's just minor things.
100%, yeah. I mean, and we almost got the pass, but it's just there's too many unknowns from a visual standpoint to really move forward in a comfortable way. So it worked. The review gate worked. It blocked us from putting in something that's unfinished, basically. But we tried. We should have probably rescheduled it because we knew that was going to be missing and there was no way we would have the time to get it in on time. But hey, man, sometimes you got to see what you can get away with and realize you can't, and then go back to the drawing board.
Don't say drawing board.
Well, it's not the drawing board. That's true. We're not going back to the drawing board, but we do have quite a bit of design work that we have to establish. What will be cool, though, is we do have a few ideas already for what we want to do. Hopefully, it doesn't take us more than a week and a half to establish a direction, and then another week and a half after that to actualize the asset. But it'll be nice because this will then establish the look and feel for Alboa specifically, right? Because we do have different manufacturers, even within the Alien lines, And so we want to make sure that we differentiate Outpour, so that would be the Scout, now the Santokyai, and any future Outpour ships from any other Xi'an manufacturers
Again,
that we might be working on. So this will help us
unpainted
establish that look and feel
version
for the
as an
dashboard
optional,
specifically,
like,
and we will
prototype
want to
skin.
retroactively
It
then
looks
add that
really
to the
slick.
Scout as well.
This color scheme.
Name another company that casually discusses failing internal reviews. Go ahead. I'll wait. Assuming, of course, that this episode even airs. At least it's honest.
It's always awkward. Every single time.
So, besides having to figure out a new dashboard, I assume everything else is going well? What do you like so far about the Santokyai?
I like the aesthetics and the way that we've kind of made the wings and the thrusters work, because the thrusters with the Fury, we actually got working thrusters where they actually spin forward and they retro with the actual main thrusters. So I was getting to mess around with the thrusters and how they worked and tuning them and trying to figure out how far can I take this? Can I make them go every single angle under the sun, or should I be restricting it? Should I change it so when it's in landed mode and it's in the more compact mode, should they still be able to go in every sort of direction, or should I restrict that more? So I was just like, getting to mess around with that was pretty fun for me.
I think the thing that I'm having the most fun with at the moment is how far we're really pushing the anti-grav tech that Xi'an have. So that's a common thing. That's going to be a common feature across all Xi'an ships, regardless of manufacturer. We've sort of identified that as a core pillar of Xi'an technology. And so regardless of manufacturer, they will all have that. And then there's a couple of other things that we need some engineering support to do, but will really sort of bring the asset to life in an interesting way. We're hoping to get a lot more movement on the wings as the ship kind of moves around. So just the basic idea of making the vehicle feel like a living, breathing creature as a whole. That's the thing that's like super fun. But it's hard, man. You know, we need a lot of support to get that working. And if we can get it done, though, I think Outpour is going to be a very unique manufacturer, because I think it's going to feel very different than everything else we have. Also, there's a lot of times there are things that I think are very easy to do, and then I'll speak to an engineer and they're like, actually, that's fundamentally different than the way ships work. And I'm like, oh crap, okay, well, I guess I got to figure out another way to do it. The most fun part, honestly, about the Santokyai just in general is we are trying a lot of new things. So we're stepping into areas that we haven't done before. And so there's a lot of risk involved.
If you look in the background of this, it looks like they're working on the Tumbrel, the new tank that's coming out.
Involved with failing, essentially, where it's like, okay, we might try something and either it doesn't turn out well, or internally people don't like the way it looks, or we can't.
Yeah, see, there's the new Storm being worked on in the background on this computer monitor. I noticed the Star Wars book and a bunch of other interesting stuff scattered around the office.
Actually do it. Like, there's so many of those questions at every turn with the Santokyai, but we've been creeping forward, and overall the asset is looking awesome. I'm just hoping we can cross that finish.
Curious what this photograph of a ship is up here in the, or maybe it's armor? Let me look. It looks like a person standing is way up here. Don't know what it is exactly, but I guess we'll find out.
Finish line to like the full vision that I have.
It might be Squadron 42 related.
I believe in you, Elwin. Thanks for your time. So yeah, that's a look at the current progress of the Santokyai working its way through the ship pipeline for an intended release later this year. And while we've got the ship team on the phone, let's see if we can get an update on the ship that's finally making its long-awaited debut in the upcoming Alpha 320, the Hull C from Musashi Industrial. Hey, John Crew, are you there?
Hello.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. The Hull C.
Yeah.
This thing's been in development for a while. What's been going on, man?
Well, how long have you got?
Try to keep it under 2 minutes.
Okay. Hull C, for those that don't know, is like the big 18-wheeler of the Star Citizen universe, designed for transporting bulk cargo around the stations between solar systems. We started it, I want to say, 5+ years ago. We got so.
Is this a tractor beam here? What is this? Do you see this? What is this? What is this device here? A tractor beam? Let's see. Says something. There's something in lettering on the side of it. I'm literally having to squint at my large computer screen to see what it is. Weird.
Started it, I want to say 5+ years ago.
I can't read
we
it.
got so far on the arts and design side, probably early grey box. And then the sheer amount of technical challenges with this ship became apparent. We put a pause to it. We thought, we'll come back. The teams that need to help us.
Before it folds up, look here. We have these like tractor beam things, these tractor beam remote turrets. Here is the
Apparent.
folding
We put a pause to it.
mechanism.
Thought, we'll
If you look here, here's an airlock access, a remote turret, the bridge, the umbilicus here. I'm assuming engineering's back here. There's a turret up here on top. And an airlock, maybe, on the back? Is this how you get in the ship? I don't think you do. No. You wouldn't get in this ship this way. What is this? This is like
come
a
back.
recessed
The teams that need to
exit.
help us have more important things to do at that point in time.
It has a Bell cluster of 6 engines.
There was object container streaming going on, so we're like, that's more important. We'll sort that out. We'll come back to it. And
Okay. Oh, rewind. So
streaming going on, so we're like, that's more important. We'll sort.
here it is. Here's the other side. It doesn't have an entrance on this side. It has, I believe, another docking collar on this side. Maybe the entrance. Okay, we have a turret here and a turret here. So there are 2 turrets. An aft and a fore turret. Unknown caliber. On
That
this
we'll come
ship.
back to it.
Okay. Yeah.
And the
It's
last year or so,
fairly large.
we've come back to it and had to deal with all those big technical challenges for the ship.
And how's
Here's a better look at it. We have the front cockpit.
it doing today?
retro engines.
What can folks expect?
You can expect the ship working as we intended it to be when it was concepted. So it's quite a unique ship in the game. There's a lot of moving parts, literally, on it, and some tech in there that you've never seen before in any ships. So primarily the hurdles revolved around that central spindle section that you can walk through whilst it's doing those animated states. We've essentially got 2 parts of the ship that move independent, well, they're animated together, but they're independent parts of the ship, and a new way of loading cargo into the ship.
I want to talk to you about that. So one of the big questions since this thing was first introduced is how the cargo loading and unloading is going to work in Alpha 320. Who can tell us about that?
I think we can probably get Chris Tanks on the line. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Sharon. Excuse me. Hi.
Hi, Chris Danks.
Hi, Jared.
So how does cargo work for the Hull C in Alpha 320?
So in Alpha 320, the Hull C behaves as we expect it to. When it's extended, when its cargo arms are out, it can't land. So it can't take cargo in the normal sense that any other ship that takes cargo does while it's landed. So you go to your cargo terminal, you buy as much cargo as you want, you set it to the Hull C, but the system recognizes that it can't spawn the cargo while the ship is landed. So you get in your ship, you fly it out of the hangar, and then contact ACC again. that is when the ship realizes, oh, I'm out of the landing zone now, I'm ready to take some cargo. So you extend it, contact the ATC, and the cargo will spawn on your ship then.
Does this thing fit in any hangars?
While it's collapsed, it'll fit in the large spec hangars. When it's extended, it doesn't fit in any hangar we have at the moment.
You can dock it though.
You can.
Okay, it fits in the largest hangar collapsed. What that tells me is this thing is enormous. Like giant. And then when it's not, it doesn't fit in any hangar, so yeah. It's going to be a beast.
Can be docked at any station.
Has anybody tried to dock it when it's fully extended?
Oh, I mean, you would hit the extent of the cargo long before your landing gear touched the ground. It would not be pretty. Well, I mean, somebody will have done it, and it will have been a magnificent explosion, but I wouldn't recommend it.
All right, so we've been looking at images of the new Hull C. It looks fantastic. Which one of you is going to talk about how it looks?
Probably Ben.
You don't have Ben back here, do you?
Hello.
Take a seat, Ben.
Hello, Sharon. How are you?
There's no way they're letting me do this with the episode ever again. Ben, talk us through it. The Hull C looks great. Episode ever again. Ben.
Hello, Sharon. How are you?
There's no way they're letting me do this with the episode ever again. Ben, talk us through it. The Hull C looks great. It's been a while getting there.
Yep.
Tell us about it.
So as John mentioned, it's been in development for a
This has to be the funniest segment of Inside Star Citizen I've ever seen.
while. We kind of stepped on it and stepped off it, depending on what tech we needed. I think, in our game we talk a lot about kind of gold standard, but really with the Hull C, it's kind of like current standard. So what we want to do is make sure that when we release the ship visually, it ticked all of our kind of current processes, and it kind of really was on par with everything else that we put out now compared to where it was kind of back in the day. I think some of the other kind of updates we've had to do to kind of maintain it over the years is just the kind of like the simple things like we now have a lot more interaction in the ships, which we never had back when it was first started. So making sure all the panels are accessible and open and close and animate, making sure the dashboard's all interactive and all those fun things that everyone's used to now.
What are some of your favorite parts? What are things that people should look out for visually?
I think, to be honest, the ship is a very industrial ship, and it really kind of feels that way. There's some like little things that I just love, like the main kind of airlock entrance into the ship feels really big and chunky and strong, which I think is needed on something so industrial. And that kind of industrial language kind of flows throughout the ship. I think my kind of main favourite place is engineering in the rear. The whole rear of the ship is kind of dedicated to really encompassing that idea that you are on a big workhorse. There's big engines, there's massive pipes. It feels really kind of like nice and moody and a little bit dangerous. And I think that's kind of really helps sell what's going on the outside of the ship, but inside.
Well, that all sounds great. So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the Santok Yai is still making its way through the ship pipeline, that the Hull C looks great and it's here. What are you doing? That the Hull C looks great and it's that inviting people is either the best thing or the worst thing that you can do, depending on your point of view. And that it's Alien Week and you should check out the Roberts tests that usually go along with it. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee with Chris, John, and Ben. Thanks for exploring the process of game development with us, and we'll see you all here next week.
Can I just say that was one of the most entertaining ISCs I've ever seen. It's good to see the Hull C progressing through the pipeline for 320 with some level of cargo handling for it. It won't just be a useless lunk. The same with the Santok Yai for later this year. So, all in all, a good episode, I think. Anyways, what do you all think? Please leave your commentary in the comments below. This has been Zyron, signing off.